In a quiet town far from any city, there lived a boy named Eli. He was not like the other kids. While others played games or stared at screens, Eli spent his time in junkyards. He loved collecting broken machines, old wires, rusted metal, and anything people threw away. To the world, it was garbage, but to Eli, it was treasure. His small wooden shed sat at the edge of his backyard, near the trees. It was filled with tools, scrap, and strange parts stacked in messy piles. On the roof, a hand-painted sign read, "Do not laugh," but people still laughed. "Crazy junk boy." The kids shouted when they passed by. "Wasting time with trash," said his neighbors. Even his own teacher once told his parents, "He's not focused on real learning." But Eli didn't care. He believed in something bigger. He had a dream. Deep inside, he was building something he couldn't fully explain. It wasn't perfect. It didn't look beautiful, but it was his dot every day after school. Eli worked inside the shed. He twisted wires, hammered bolts, and scribbled strange notes in a notebook stained with grease. The machine he built looked like a metal box with tubes and blinking lights. Some parts came from an old microwave, others from a broken lawnmower. At the center was a strange crystal. He found the night of the meteor shower, glowing faintly purple. Someday, Eli whispered to himself, this machine will do something important. One evening, while the wind howled and clouds turned gray, Eli sat alone in the shed. He held the crystal in his hand, staring at it. Thunder cracked. Rain fell hard. Suddenly, the crystal pulsed just once, and the machine made a soft humming. Noise. Eli jumped up. "Did you do that?" he asked the crystal, smiling wide. But before he could test it, the shed shook violently. Something outside crashed with a loud boom. Eli rushed out, heart pounding. In the center of his backyard, smoke rose from a small crater. The grass was burned, and at the center was something not from Earth. He stepped closer and saw a small figure lying inside the crater. It was a girl about his age, but her skin was pale blue. Her eyes were closed. Her clothes looked like they were made from silver threads. She was hurt. Her arm bled. Her lips were cracked and dry. Eli knelt beside her. "Hey, are you okay?" he whispered. The girl opened her eyes slowly. They glowed like soft stars. She looked at him, confused, scared. Her voice was weak, and she spoke in a language Eli didn't know. But she said one word he understood, "Help." Without thinking, Eli picked her up gently and carried her inside the shed. He placed her on a blanket and ran to get water and bandages. She drank slowly, eyes still on him, blinking in pain. "I don't know who you are," Eli said softly, "but I think you came from very far." The girl pointed weakly at the machine. Eli hesitated. "You mean this?" She nodded. "I haven't tested it. I don't even know what it does yet. But, okay." He lifted a small silver lever. The machine buzzed loudly. Lights blinked in strange colors. A few sparks flew out. Then, a quiet ding. A small round capsule rolled out. Of a side hatch. Eli stared. "That's food." The girl nodded again, her eyes filled with hope. Eli gave it to her. She sniffed it first, then took a bite. Her face changed. She smiled just a little. A single tear rolled down her cheek. "You were starving," Eli whispered, "and this machine fed you." Outside, the rain stopped. The wind calmed. Eli looked at the stars above. Something told him this was just the beginning, that this girl who came from the sky was only the first of many. He looked at his machine, then back at the blue-skinned girl resting in his shed. They all laughed. "At me," he whispered. "But maybe, just maybe, this junk machine is going to save someone. Maybe even more." The girl reached out, weak fingers touching Ellie's arm. And in a quiet moment, under the night sky, a human boy and an alien girl, to strangers from two different worlds, understood each other, not through words, but through kindness, through hope, through something made from junk. Lee sat near the girl all night, listening to the machine hum softly. The strange food capsule he made had saved her, at least for now. She slept quietly under the blanket, her chest rising and falling in a slow, peaceful rhythm. Outside, the grass still sizzled where she had crash-landed. The crater glowed with bits of alien metal and a broken device shaped like a half-moon. The next morning, Eli brought her more water. She was awake now, sitting up slowly. She pointed at herself and said, "Vera." Eli smiled. "Vera, that's your name." He tapped his chest. "Eli." She repeated it carefully. "Eli." They both laughed a little. Eli didn't know why, But it felt like the first time in his life someone truly saw him not just as the junkyard kid, but someone important. Later that day, as Eli tried to understand the broken moon-shaped device from the crater, the air around them suddenly shimmered. A loud hum filled the yard, and with a flash of light, 3 more figures appeared. They were taller than Vera, with similar blue skin and silver-lined robes. Their eyes were narrow and glowing, and each of them held a glowing orb on their wrist. They rushed to Vi or A. One of them, a male with a deep voice, shouted in her alien tongue. Eli didn't understand a word, but he could feel the fear. They scanned Vera, then glared at Eli. "I'm not the enemy," he said, hands up. Vera stepped between them, her hand outstretched. She pointed to the machine and spoke rapidly. Her voice grew louder, emotional. Then, something strange happened. One of the tall aliens walked over to the machine and laughed, a deep, mocking laugh. He tapped the machine like it was a toy and said something with a smirk. The others joined in. They chuckled, clearly amused. Eli clenched his fists. "You're laughing at it?" he said, voice shaking. That thing saved Vera's life, but they couldn't understand him. Or maybe they didn't want to. To them, it was just a pile of earth trash, blinking lights, noisy gears, and scrap parts fused together with tape and hope. They didn't see the magic, the hard. Suddenly, one of the aliens coughed hard. He dropped to his knees, gasping. The others rushed to him, but Vera looked at Eli with wide, desperate eyes. "He's sick," Eli said, just like she was. He ran to the machine, hands flying. He poured in metal scraps and twisted a dial. The machine sputtered, whirred, and spat out another warm, glowing food capsule. The sick alien's eyes locked on it. Vera picked it up and fed it to him gently. The moment he swallowed it, his eyes stopped glowing erratically. His breath slowed. His hands stopped shaking. Within seconds, his color returned. The other aliens stared. Silent now. One of them stepped forward, slowly, like approaching something sacred. He touched the machine, not with laughter this time, but with wonder. Eli stood tall. "Yeah," he said, "it's not just junk." Vera smiled, but just as things were calming down, the half-broken moon device from the crater blinked red. Vera rushed to it. Her face turned pale. She spoke fast and urgent. Eli could only catch one word that she said over and over again. "Home." A moment later, the sky tore open again. A blue ring of light formed above them, humming low and steady. A portal. Vera turned to Eli and reached out her hand. He looked at her, stunned. You want me to come with you?" She nodded. Her eyes were full of something deeper than words: hope, trust, and maybe even a little fear. Eli looked back at his shed, his tools, his little corner of the world. Then he looked at the 3 aliens who had just seen his machine save a life. And finally, he looked at Vera. He grabbed his machine with both hands and wheeled it toward the portal. "I guess," he said, smiling, "it's time this junk machine saw the stars." The portal swallowed them in light, and just like that, Eli left Earth behind. He didn't know what waited on the other side. He didn't know what kind of world was dying. But one thing was clear: they had laughed at his machine. Now, it might be the only thing that could save their entire village. The moment Eli stepped through the portal, the world changed. At first, he saw only white light. It felt like swimming through a dream. His body floated for a few seconds, and then with a sharp pull his feet landed on something hard and dry. He stumbled forward, still holding the machine, and gasped. He was no longer on Earth. The sky above was deep violet, not blue. 2 suns glowed in opposite corners of the sky, one bright orange, the other pale blue. The ground was cracked and red, like dried blood. Dust blew in the wind. Strange trees stood like skeletons, leafless and brittle. And in the distance, nestled between the jagged hills, was a village. Vera walked ahead slowly, her face full of sadness. Eli followed, dragging the machine over the dry ground. The air smelled faintly of metal and smoke. As they got closer, Eli saw more of her people, dozens of them, maybe hundreds. Their bodies looked weak. Many sat under collapsed shelters, their eyes hollow. Children didn't play. They just lay curled up on the dusty floor. Some had sores on their skin. Others clutched their stomachs. Ellie's chest tightened. The whole village looked like it had stopped breathing long ago. He whispered, "What happened here?" Vera didn't answer with words. She pointed at a giant black tower in the middle of the village. The top was broken, wires hanging loose. At the base of the tower was a machine, big, rusty, and dead. Smoke puffed weakly from one side. "It was your food source?" Eli asked. She nodded. Energy farms, gone. Crops dry. Machines failed. Eli looked around. It was worse than anything he had seen on Earth. This wasn't just hunger, it was the slow death of an entire world. When they reached the center of the village, a crowd gathered. Vera said something in her language. A few aliens looked at Eli with interest, but most looked angry, suspicious. He heard murmurs and hisses. One tall alien stepped forward. He had bright red markings on his face and wore dark armor. "Who is this?" "Earth creature," he said in a deep voice. Vera replied sharply. She pointed to Ellie's machine. The alien laughed. "That," he barked, "that's a box of garbage." Others laughed with him. Some even pointed. One alien picked up a piece of Ellie's machine and tossed it aside like trash. Ellie's face turned red. Vera shouted something and stood in front of Eli. The armored alien raised his hand. "Enough. Our people are dying. This is no time for children with toys." He turned and walked away. Eli looked around at the faces, skeptical, hopeless, some even mocking. He whispered, "I shouldn't have come." But just then, a small girl stumbled forward. Her blue skin was dull. Her eyes drooped. She reached for something and collapsed. Eli dropped to his knees and caught her. "She's starving," he said. Vera knelt beside him, tears in her eyes. "Please, help her." Eli nodded. His hands moved fast. He opened a panel on his junk machine, poured in broken wires, bits of metal, and even a few crystals Vera gave him. The machine whirred, blinked, then stopped. No sound. Ellie's heart sank. The villagers stared in silence. Then dashed in. A soft light pulsed. A single food capsule rolled out. Eli caught it and handed it to the girl. Vera helped her eat. The girl chewed slowly. Then her eyes opened. Wider. She sat up shakily, but stronger. The crowd gasped. Another villager stepped forward. An old man with a cane. He looked at Ellie's machine. "Can it make more?" Eli nodded. "But I need parts. Anything broken, anything metal." Soon, they brought him piles of junk cold parts, shattered tools, melted wires. Eli smiled. Perfect. He worked nonstop. His hands moved like magic for every handful of scraps. The machine gave back food pots, fresh, warm, glowing with soft light. One by one, villagers came forward. They ate. They smiled. Some even cried. The crowd around him grew larger. Whispers turned into cheers. But far behind the crowd, one pair of eyes washed with raised. His name was Roxon. He was once the chief engineer of the village before the machines failed. Now, his pride burned as he saw a human boy fixing what he could not. He clenched his jaw. "Let them laugh now," he muttered. "But tonight, the machine dies." That night, the village buzzed with quiet energy. The one-stole streets now glowed with soft golden lanterns. Families sat in small groups, holding the warm food capsules in their hands as if they were gifts from the stars. Elders smiled for the first time in weeks. Children laughed faintly between bites. The villagers still looked weak, but now they looked alive. In the center of it all stood Eli, covered in dust, oil, and metal shavings. He was tired, but a spark glowed in his eyes. His junk machine stood proudly beside him, humming gently under the night sky, its metal frame patched with alien wires and earth bolts. It looked strange, even ugly, but it worked. Vera walked over and handed him a round fruit-like object. "It's called a Zelen. Sweet. You've earned it." Eli bit into it and grinned. "Tastes like strawberries and lemonade." She giggled. "What's that?" "I'll show you someday." They both laughed. It was the first time Eli had laughed with someone in years. But deep in the shadows behind the broken energy tower, Roxon stood alone watching. He gripped a sharp metal rod in his hand. His pride burned. His village had looked to him for answers for years. He had built the food tower. He had designed the water machines. And now, they called a human boy their savior, a boy who built machines out of garbage. No. He growled under his breath. "This ends tonight." Roxon waited until the village fell asleep. One by one, the lanterns faded. Soft snores filled the night. Even Vera curled up beside Eli near the machine, her head resting gently on her arm. Roxon moved silently through the dark, his feet leaving no trace on the dusty ground. He approached the junk machine. The lights blinked slowly, green, red, green, HMPH. He muttered, "So fragile." He opened the back panel and saw the glowing crystal heart that powered it. He sneered. "A child's toy." With one quick motion, Roxon slashed two wires, crushed the input funnel. and jammed the vent with magnetic dust. The machine sparked for a moment, then went dark. No sound, no light, no hum. Roxanne stepped back into the shadows, hiding his smirk. The machine was dead, and by morning, so would be the boys' praise. Sunlight rose over the hills, casting a golden glow on the sleeping village. Birds circled lazily in the pink sky. The first awake were the children. They rushed toward the machine, hopeful for breakfast. Eli rubbed his eyes as he stretched. Morning already? He smiled as he patted the machine. Let's make some magic. He reached for the power switch, but nothing happened. He frowned and pressed it again, then harder. Still, nothing. The machine was silent. The blinking lights were gone. The tubes had gone cold. No, 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 he whispered. Not now. Vera came running. What's wrong? It's not working. She helped him open the panel. The wires were torn. The vent was blocked. The funnel was bent. Ellie's heart dropped. Someone had done this. The villagers gathered quickly, their eyes full of concern. Some were already growing weak again after just one day of food. A tall elder stepped forward. What happened? Boy, Eli opened his mouth to explain, but then saw Roxanne in the crowd, standing tall with his arms crossed, looking innocent. Roxanne raised a brow. I warned you, he said calmly. Your little toy was never built to last. Eli clenched his fists. Enough, said the elder. Whispers turned to murmurs. Murmurs turned to anger. He promised us food. Now it's gone. He fooled us. He's just a human. Ellie's eyes darted around. Please, I can fix it. But many had already turned away. Even Vera hesitated. Her lips trembled. Can you, really? Eli didn't answer. His throat burned. He picked up his broken machine and walked through the crowd. No one stopped him this time. No one clapped. No one cheered. The hope that had danced in their eyes was gone, replaced with disappointment. Eli walked to the far edge of the village and sat on a rocky ledge overlooking the dead valley. The wind blew gently, carrying silence with it. He stared at his hands, dirty, shaking, then at the machine, scratched, broken, lifeless. I tried. He whispered to no one. I really did. A tear rolled down his cheek, not because they turned away, but because deep down he believed maybe they were right. Maybe he really was just a junk boy. Eli sat alone on the rocky ledge, his knees pulled up to his chest, arms wrapped tightly around them. The once beautiful sky now looked empty to him. The machine that had given hope to a dying village now lay beside him, broken and silent. He didn't cry loudly. He just sat there, blinking, letting the tears roll quietly. His whole life, people had laughed at him, called him useless, crazy, junk boy. But he thought just for a moment that maybe, here in this faraway world, he had found his place. But now, even this world had turned its back. His fingers traced the crushed vent, the torn wires, the crystal now dull. Why would someone do this? He asked softly. Then he remembered Roxanne's cold eyes, the way he had stood still while the crowd turned, the way he had smiled when the machine failed. Eli clenched his fists. He did it. I know he did. But knowing the truth wasn't enough. The village had stopped believing in him. Vera had looked away, and he didn't know how to fix this. He sat there until the twin suns began to set. The purple skies slowly turned amber and gold. The wind grew colder. Just as he was about to pack up the machine and give up, he heard footsteps. He turned around. It was Vera. Her eyes were puffy. She had been crying too. She didn't say anything at first, just sat beside him. I'm sorry, she finally whispered. Eli didn't speak. I should have believed you. I know Roxanne did something. I saw oil on his sleeve this morning, the kind only your machine leaks. But I was scared. Eli looked at her. I didn't need you to believe in the machine. He said quietly, I just needed you to believe in me. Vera looked down. I do now. She pulled out a small glowing stone from her pocket. This is Zarnite, rare, only found in our mountain caves. It can boost broken cores. Eli took it gently. The stone shimmered faintly, pulsing like a heartbeat. I want to help, she said. Let's fix it, together. Eli looked at the machine, then at Vera, then at the sky, now dotted with stars. He nodded slowly. Let's make this better than ever. The next few hours were quiet but full of purpose. Eli and Vera worked in the dim light of the twin moons. They took apart the machine piece by piece. Eli found the damaged wires. Vera cleaned the clogged vent with a metal brush made from alien vines. Eli used a shard of crystal to replace the broken funnel. They worked with whatever they had scrapped from the crash site, leftover village tools, and even parts from Vera's old communicator dot at the heart of the machine. They placed the Zarnite stone dot. Eli wired it carefully. Please, he whispered. Just one more time. He closed the panel. Vera held her breath. Eli flipped the switch. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, a soft pulse of light. The machine buzzed faintly. A red light blinked, then turned green. Vera gasped. It's alive, Eli said. Suddenly, the machine let out a gentle hum, stronger, smoother, deeper than before. And then, ding, a glowing food pod rolled out. Vera caught it. It was brighter than the ones before. It's working, she said, smiling. Eli couldn't stop himself. He laughed. They had done it. But this wasn't just about fixing a machine. They had rebuilt trust. The next morning, they wheeled the upgraded machine back into the village. No one cheered this time. No crowd gathered. But the children peeked from doorways. Elders sat up slowly. They watched as Eli and Vera placed the machine in the center again. Eli didn't say anything. He simply switched it on. The hum returned, strong, proud. Ding. One capsule, then another, and another. Soon, the scent of warm food floated through the air again. A little boy came forward, nervous. Eli handed him a pod. The boy took a bite and smiled wide. The villagers slowly came closer. They didn't speak, but they didn't walk away either. One by one, they began to eat. The old elder who had doubted Eli stepped forward. This food, it's stronger, he said. Eli nodded. Better fuel, better heart. The elder looked him in the eyes. So do you? Suddenly, a loud voice echoed through the square. Tricks again. Everyone turned. It was Roxon. He marched forward, furious. This boy is dangerous. He brings false hope. He saved my son, said a woman. He healed my father, said another. Roxon's mouth opened, then shut. No one stood with him. No one cheered him on. Eli didn't yell. He didn't argue. He simply looked at Roxon and said, I didn't come here to be your enemy. I came to help. Roxon looked around, saw the faces full of light, and walked away in silence. That night, the village glowed not just from lanterns, but from hope. Eli sat on a roof with Vera, watching the stars. You know, he said, this machine, it's not really magic. What is it then? It's love and junk and a little bit of stubbornness. Vera laughed. That's the best kind of magic. They sat there, shoulder to shoulder, as the stars above whispered softly. The boy with the jump machine had fixed the impossible. Not just a machine. Not just a village, but belief. 2 days passed. The village was no longer silent. The wind now carried laughter. Homes that had once echoed with coughing and cries were filled with cooking, singing, and hope. Children chased each other through the streets again. And in the center of the village, Ellie's machine stood tall, patched, humming, and proud. But far above the skies, beyond the red hills and twin suns, word had spread. The story of a human boy who fed a starving alien village with a machine built from junk had traveled across planets, across colonies, and across borders of pride and disbelief. Soon, a ship unlike any other broke through the clouds black as night, shaped like a spear and larger than anything Eli had ever seen. It hovered above the village in total silence before lowering slowly like a falling mountain. The village froze. Everyone gathered in the square. Even Roxon, now quiet and distant, stepped into the crowd. Vera stood beside Eli, holding her breath. From the ship's bottom, a silver ramp unfolded. 5 tall, glowing figures stepped down, their robes flowing like liquid metal. Their faces were hidden behind golden masks. Vera whispered, "The Council of Zareth." Eli blinked. "There. The leaders." Vera nodded. "They control science, technology, and food trade across 13 worlds. If they say your machine works, it becomes law." Ellie's stomach twisted. One of the masked leaders raised a hand. "Human," he said, his voice deep and cold. "You are Eli of Earth?" "Yes," Eli replied, trying to stand straight, though his knees were shaking. "We have heard of your machine," said another, "a device built from garbage with claims of miracle feeding." "It's not a miracle," Eli said. "It's engineering." The third council member tilted their head. "Then prove it." Eli paused. "Prove it. We will take you to Graver's 9. The fourth said, "A dead moon. No soil, no air, no energy. If your machine can create food there, The council will approve it for all star systems. And if I fail, Eli asked softly. The fifth member answered, then the machine will be dismantled and your presence erased. The villagers gasped. Vera grabbed his hand. You don't have to go. She whispered, you already saved us. But Eli looked at the machine, then at the children watching him, then at the sky. No, he said, let them laugh one more time, but this time, I'll show them what junk can do. Graverous night was colder than anything Eli had ever felt. The ship landed on jagged black stone. The sky was dark gray, with no clouds, only dust floating in. Frozen silence. No plants, no water, not a single sign of life. This place is dead, Eli whispered as he stepped out, pulling his coat tight. Vera walked beside him, even though she wasn't required to come. This place killed 5 food projects, she said. Nothing survives. Here, the council stood in a circle, high on a ridge, watching. Eli knelt down and opened the bottom hatch of his machine. The crystal inside flickered weak from the cold. He took a deep breath. Come on, old friend. He scraped some black rock from the ground and loaded it into the intake. He added Zarnite dust and wrapped a thermal coil around the base. Then he connected a solar strip he had made from old armor panels. Vera stood close, her arms folded. Eyes on him, he whispered to the machine like a friend. Just one more miracle. Let's show them. He flipped the switch, nothing. He pressed again, silence. His heart started to sink. Then the crystal inside blinked. Whir they hung. A spark, a pulse of warm light, and then a ding. A glowing food pod rolled out. The council murmured. Then a second pod. Then a third. Then, from the ground beneath the machine, the black rock began to change. Color dark gray turning to deep green. A tiny sprout appeared. Then 2. Then 5. The moons above reflected off the leaves as if life itself had returned. Vera gasped. It's growing. The lead council member stepped forward, knelt beside the machine, and touched the sprout. It's real, he whispered, pure, nourishing, and made from death. He stood tall. Let the records show. The junk machine is approved. Ellie's knees gave out. He collapsed in the dust, laughing and crying at once. Vera helped him up. You did it, she whispered. He looked around at the green, the glowing pods, the stunned council, and the empty land now waking up. No, he said, we did it. Hours later, as the council ship vanished into the stars, Eli stood at the edge of Graverous 9, staring at the glowing sprouts. He had come as a boy no one believed in, but he would return as a builder of worlds, and all from the very thing people once called trash. A week had passed since Ellie's machine turned the dead moon of Graverous 9 green, but across the galaxy, the story had already exploded. News channels across star systems reported the same headline. Human boy creates food from junk, saves alien. World Earth teen solves interplanetary famine with trash machine hope built from garbage. Eli of Earth declared hero of the stars everywhere. Images of his patched-up device rolled on holograms, its blinking lights, metal bowls, and strange mix of human and alien parts. Some called it the miracle core. Others simply called it the junk machine. But to Eli, it was still just his project, the one no one believed in until now. Back in Vera's village, things had changed. The dry lands had started turning green. The food supply was no longer a crisis. Children played freely again. Even Roxanne, once the proud engineer who sabotaged the machine, now worked beside Eli, quiet, respectful, changed. One evening, as orange sun set over the hills, the village held a celebration. Lights danced in the air like glowing butterflies. Music echoed through the valley, strange alien flutes and humming drums. Food pods had been redesigned into beautiful dishes by the villagers. At the center of the gathering, Eli sat on a small platform made of polished stone, not as a ruler, not as a god, but as a friend. Vera stood beside him, wearing silver robes, her smile wide and real. A young girl came forward. It was the same little one who had collapsed from hunger the day Eli first arrived. Now, her cheeks were full and bright. She handed him a flower with petals that sparkled like stars. This grew here, she said in soft, careful words. Because of you. Eli took the flower gently. He couldn't find the words. He just smiled. Later that night, as the village slept, Eli and Vera sat under the twin moons. She looked up. You're a legend now. Every system wants your machine. Even the Galactic Fleet sent a request for copies. Eli chuckled. Not bad for something built from microwaves and lawnmower parts. Vera leaned back on the grass. Are you going to sell it? Build an empire Earth would call you a billionaire? Eli paused, then shook his head. I don't want riches or power. I just want to help places like this. Places everyone forgets. Places that people laugh at just like they laughed at me. He looked up at the sky, filled with constellations he didn't recognize. I want to fix what's broken, he whispered. Not just machines, people, belief, hope. Vera looked at him, her eyes glowing with something more than light. You already have. The next morning, a special ship arrived from the Galactic Unity Council. It was small, sleek, and covered in symbols from 13 different worlds. At its door stood a tall ambassador in white robes. He bowed deeply before Eli. By order of the Council, you are offered a seat in the League of Planetary Engineers. A seat reserved for the wisest minds across galaxies. Eli blinked. Me, yes, the ambassador said. You have done what no one else could, with no labs, no funding, no resources. Eli thought for a moment. He looked at VI or A. then at the smiling villagers, and then at his machine still dusty, still blinking, still made from garbage. I'll accept, Eli said, but I'm not staying in any council building. If I'm part of your league, then I'll be the one who travels. I'll go where others won't, to forgotten moons, starving villages, lost planets. Give me the map of where help is needed, and I'll go. The ambassador bowed again. As you wish. You will be our star walker. And so it began. Eli, the boy from Earth who once dug through trash in silence, became a traveler of worlds. He rode on ships with golden wings, landed on planets with skies of fire and oceans of glass. Everywhere he went, he brought his machine, and every time someone said, "This place is too far gone," he smiled and replied, "So was I." He fixed soil with broken screws. He rebuilt hopes with melted scrap. He taught children how to tinker, how to dream, how to believe in something even if it's made from pieces everyone else threw away. Years later, on a peaceful night, an old man sat on a hill under twin moons. His beard was silver now, but his eyes still held the same spark. Beside him stood a newer version of his machine, sleeker, shinier, but built on the same soul. Children gathered around, wide-eyed. Is it true? One asked. They laughed at you. The old man chuckled. They did, he said. And what did you do? He looked at the sky full of stars. I built something worth remembering.